We buried our 1-year-old daughter, me and my husband, and of course, it was as if it was an accident, but it was a planned spiritual accident. To this very day, even if people were to be told that whatever that happened to our baby, it was not an accident, but it was because of a ritual, who is going to believe that the cruelty that we did spiritually, it was just too much? Aish, brother, I just remember right now what I did to one of my mom's little sister. She is a little bit old now. Because of her old age, we found her to be the right candidate who was going to be fit, and because she is old, it was going to be easy if a prophet from Zim, whom we had been given these phone numbers by the Sangoma that helped us with these money rituals, to say that she is a witch. And do you know that they can make you to be a witch even if you are not, so that you can expose yourself? Those people in Zim, the witchcraft that I have seen, it is a lot, and it is very painful that I am also partaking in this witchcraft that me and my husband, we went to collect there in Zimbabwe. To this very day, people, they do believe that my auntie, she is a witch, and she is the one that sacrificed my daughter who passed away because of an accident that happened at home. And we set her up that this accident happened after there was a fight in the family, and I had invited her afterwards, saying that I wanted to be in the good books with him. So I did not invite her only, I invited the other people in my family that I had been manipulating in making them to believe and to think that my auntie was a witch, yet she was not. So when this happened, when my daughter passed away and my auntie was at home, the people automatically pointed their fingers at my auntie, saying, who else could have caused this accident? But in all truth, the accident was never and was not caused at all by my auntie. This was a spiritual setup that we did for her. Brother Nashi, how are you? Please post my story as anonymous. My name, you can call me Amma, and I am a South African woman. I won't say my age because I am afraid that maybe people that know me, they are going to be suspicious. And this is what happened for me and my husband to be where we are right now. Let me take you back to the time when we used to stay in Soweto. I have changed the location because I am afraid that if I tell you exactly where we stay, maybe there will be those that will pick up the story, some who are not even the members of the family. I have become a she-devil because of what me and my husband did. I don't know if there comes a time in your life when you take the blame or you have to continue blaming God. Because, first of all, I was never consulted when I was supposed to be born, whether I wanted to be born or not. No one ever consulted me. So I grew up very poor, and I got married to my husband. My husband, he was an SAPS member before we had become rich. My husband then retired because we had made money. He said, the money that I have made, there are people at work who are going to be jealous of me because he was tired of driving the same old bakkie that he had been driving. Yet in the garage, we had sports cars that he would only drive when he was not at work. So he said, I just want to eat my money. Mind you, this was after the rituals. So my husband, he used to be a police officer, as a police officer, my husband, he was not permanently working in Joburg, but most of the times he was working in places like Yovenda, there in Musina. That was where he was working in that part of the country. This made him to come into close contact with people from Zimbabwe, and he developed a very special relationship with them. Amongst all the people that he was friends with, they were those that were doing Umalaicha business. My husband, he was always interested in money rituals. Let me tell you the truth from the start. But my husband, he had never found that opportunity to get someone that would assist him with the money rituals. He was just looking for an opportunity, but he did not have anyone. So, because he was now in close contact with people that were from Zim, that were his friends, me and my husband, we started to fight. I had opened up a small little shop, and at that shop, what I was just doing was to sell ABC, and my husband, he had taken some credits that I had told him not to go to the bank and to collect that money from the bank because we did not have money. My husband went and he took the cash and he said that he wanted to start a business. He started this business out of a pressure after he had seen that his other friend, who was also a police officer, and the wife had started a business. But people are born different. As for my husband, he was not very good with what he was doing. So he ended up using the money. He used all of that money that he was getting from the profit that he was making, and then we went broke within a very short period of time. After we had gone broke, my husband, instead of focusing on repaying the debt, he did not do such. He did not repay the debt in time, and the bank, they started to come after me and him. So I had to assist my husband like a good wife. And you know that in the marriage, once there is no money at all, no matter how much you love each other, but the tensions, they are going to be there, the stresses, they are going to be there, and you are going to become a bitter woman because you'll be filled with this bitterness. You are asking yourself, this man, I told him that you are not supposed to be taking all this money from the bank and then you pour it into a bank account, then you pour it into a business instead of you just keeping the money in the bank account, unless you study the situation on the ground. And when you see that the business is not profitable, you return the money bit by bit, or you do other things that you can see that even if you are going to pay back the money, at least you'll be left with something, not to just take the money and you pour it into the business. So we used to fight at all the times, me and my husband. As we were fighting, I can say that sex-wise, there was nothing anymore. It's like I was turned off as if I was just a TV. My feelings for my husband, they stopped. I could not sleep with him. I could not do anything with him. I would always remind him that we are in this mess because of his decisions as a husband. He failed to protect me because what was hurting me was that I was making some money at the business that I had started. So this money that I was making, if we did not have any debt that we were owing at the bank, maybe I could have achieved my dreams. But now I had my husband along who was owing money at the bank, and we had to spend money each and every month. I would be paying 12, 13, 14, 15,000 rands at the bank, which was quite terrible. I do not want to lie to you. We started to fight, and I want to confess that because of the way that we were fighting. Unfortunately, I did not realize this at that time, that I was giving my husband so much pressure, more than he could even imagine. And then my husband decided to consult. He started consulting with sangomas. When my husband started to consult with the sangomas, I started to see some charms in his car. I started to see some charms also that were in the house. I would ask him, why are you having all of these charms in the car, in the house? What are these charms for? He said that they were for good luck. I did not know that once you start to visit sangomas who are trying to help you to get rich quick, it's like an addiction. Even if it is not working, you keep on having this belief, like the belief that my husband was having at that time, that he was going to meet a powerful traditional healer that was going to assist him and I, so that we can become rich, and those that were laughing at us, we were the ones that were going to laugh at them in the end. So my husband, when he saw that the South African sangomas, they were not assisting him at all like the way that he wanted them to help him, that was when he turned his eyes on his old friends, the ones that used to give him money here and there if they wanted to pass with their overloaded vehicles. He spoke with them, and then they invited him to go to Zimbabwe. He then sat with me down, and when he sat with me down on that day, I still remember it. He said to me, my wife, I am thinking about going to Zim so that I can be given some charms. I know that you love me, but the way that we are fighting these days, I know that it is being caused by the fact that we do not have any money at home. If I can just make money, I know that you and I, we can return to where we used to be, happy as lovers. And since I love you so much, I do not want you to think that I will continue to do things in secret. If I have hurt you, I want you to forgive me. I want us to move on together. I want you to be part of this journey. Just in case if they tell me that there are things that you are not supposed to touch, you will have heard for yourself. Back then, I did not know anything about the rules of Ogutwala. I just thought that you go there, you are given a charm, and that charm starts to work. I did not even know that you hear at Okoloshim. It is not always that you see at Okoloshim. You can hear that I have some things that are moving in the house. I have a snake, but you only dream about it at night. So when my husband suggested that we were supposed to travel to another country to go and for us to do our money rituals, unfortunately, I agreed. Because of the situation that we were in. We had been paying your 14,000 rands each and every month to the bank. But at the end of the day, when I would sit down and I would look at the money that my husband was still owing to the bank, it was just something that will make me to cry, saying that we will never be able to live a debt-free life because the money that we were just owing, it was just too much. And what we did with that money, it was nothing. If we had bought a car, it was better. If we had maybe renovated the house, it was better. But we had poured all of those funds into the business, and my husband, unfortunately, he did not manage that business properly. He kept on putting more money into the business. So I agreed, because by then, even in the house, there was nothing. We did not have proper food. We were not even going to places like the places that we used to go before we had started that business. I agreed. When me and my husband agreed, we then finally met up with a Zimbabwean man who took us to his country. We went there to Zimbabwe. It was the first time as for me to leave my own country and to go to another country. When we arrived there at the traditional healer, I was with my daughter. So I don't know if we had not gone with my daughter, if my daughter was going to be alive. We were then taken to the river. It was in the middle of the night. We were told to bath in the river. When we were bathing, I felt like there was a fish or a couple of fish that were playing around my legs. And I told my husband, and he told me that he felt the same. He then told the man that we had gone with, because the healer was unable to speak in isiZulu or to speak in English, so we needed to use an interpreter who was the man that had taken us to Zimbabwe. So my husband then told him that this was what was happening to us in the water. The healer then told us not to panic, because if we were going to panic, we were going to be taken by the marine spirits. Those were the marine spirits that had came to see if we were fit enough to be given the money through the rituals that we were doing at that river. After that, when the fish disappeared, then me and my husband, we were told to come out of the water. When we came out of the water, there was a goat that we had bought. This goat was slaughtered. There was a small rock that was close to that small river. We were told to stand on top of that, on top of that rock, as well as the goat. We were holding it, me and my husband. The healer then instructed his people to go and fetch water in the river. And the water, it was really cold. By then, I was even shaking because of the way that I was feeling so much cold. And when they started to pour the water on top of us, including the goat as well, I had never felt so much coldness like that in my entire life. After they had finished bathing us, because they wanted to make sure that they had removed all the sand from our bodies, and then my husband, he was given a knife. He was given a knife and he was told to stab anyway on the goat. He did so and he stabbed the goat on the stomach. The strange thing that happened was that this goat, it did not do anything. It did not cry. It was not violent. It was not even afraid to die. It just let out only one sound and then it collapsed to the ground. And my husband was then given an axe, which he was supposed to remove the head of that goat. And we assisted each other to throw that head of the goat into the water. After we had done so, the healer had been collecting the blood with his people from the goat that had been slaughtered by my husband, and they bathed us with that blood, and we returned back to the traditional healer's house. Returning back to the traditional healer's house, Brother Nashim, we were told not to wipe ourselves. The blood was sticking on our skins, and we stayed like that for a week without bathing, and we were supposed to make love to each other every hour. 24 hours we had to sleep with each other. For us to be strong, my husband and I, we were given a 2-liter bottle that was full of herbs. Once you drank those herbs, it was like you have overdosed on Congo dust. We could not stop sleeping with each other 24 hours straight, and we did this for a week. We would not even think about eating. I would be reminded by the traditional healer to even breastfeed my daughter, because we were just thinking about sleeping with each other in that moment. Once the week was done, that was when we were told that we were strong enough to meet with the ancestors of the traditional healer. We were taken into another room, which was a separate consultation room for those that would want to do money rituals. When we were taken into that room, we were then asked, what is it that we wanted, like the healer had forgotten. And we said that what had brought us to his country was that we just wanted money. We were sick and tired of being poor like the way that we were. The healer then said that, okay, I am going to assist you. And the healer, he then assisted us, and he told us that his ancestors had said that they had a strong desire to quench their thirst. And we asked the healer, what were we supposed to give to the ancestors so that they can quench their thirst? We were told that they could only accept our proposal for us to be in a covenant if we were going to give them the blood of my daughter, whom I was carrying at that moment. Brother, I started to cry. The healer then told me that he does not appreciate people who cry inside of his shrine because this makes him to look terrible, as if he is a bad person. We were only given about less than a minute to think about it. Otherwise, the healer would move on to other people that also wanted to do money rituals. With all the process that we had done to be taken to the river, bathing in the river, the marine spirits, and sleeping with each other, by then I was exhausted of sleeping with my husband. I just wanted to return back to my country because I was looking like a mad woman by then. No bathing, nothing, just having sex 24 hours a day. So my body was already exhausted in that moment. I just wanted to return back home. So the healer then said, okay, I will give you an option. Even if your daughter die, you are not going to sacrifice him in this shrine, because we refused when he had said that the same way that my husband had slaughtered the god, he was supposed to physically slaughter my daughter, and we were afraid of returning back to South Africa without our daughter. What were our relatives going to say? We were going to be arrested anyway. So my husband and I, we finally agreed after the healer had given us an option. The option that he gave to us was that we were going to find another person whom we were going to mention his or her name, who was going to take the blame after my daughter would have had a terrible accident and my daughter would have died. So the name that came to my mind was my mother's little sister, and I said her name. I was told to cut my finger just a little bit so that blood can come out, and I was told to write her name in the blood. If the blood will stop coming out, I was supposed to cut myself even more so that the blood can continue to come. And I was told to cut myself with a razor blade after I had felt to cut myself with a knife. The pain that I felt when I cut myself with that razor blade, even the blood that came out, it even made me to feel dizzy. I wrote her name on a piece of paper, her name and the surname, which I'm not going to mention here. When I was done writing her name, then the healer took that piece of paper and burnt that piece of paper as he was laughing, saying that the ancestors had looked at my auntie and had located her in the spiritual realm, and they were preparing the charms that we were supposed to be given, and I was supposed to give her something to eat so that it can be easy for her to be blamed, like a bad luck that will be following you wherever you are. People, when they look at you, they hate you for no reason at all. They believe that you are a witch, even though you are not a witch at all. So we waited for 2 more days whilst the healer was dreaming of the charms that we were supposed to give to us so that my auntie can take that blame for the death of my daughter. Once we were done, my daughter was then given some muti. This made me to cry because I knew that this muti that she was being given, it was the muti so that the spirit of death can follow him wherever she would be, and her death was supposed to come to her very quickly. We were going to rob her of the years that she was supposed to live. I learned that when we were in the consultation room that my daughter was supposed to live until she was 42 years old, and then she was supposed to die of a stroke. So the number of the years that she was supposed to live, we were then told that those number of years, they had been divided, and we had been given the number of the years in half. I would live half of the years that she was supposed to live, and my husband, his own years that he is supposed to live, he had been increased also by the half of the number of the years that our daughter was supposed to live. So we came back home. I had the charms that I had been given. When I returned back home, I then called my auntie and I said, I want you to come and visit us. This was before the accident, before the fights happened in the family. And then I cooked some nice food for my auntie and I gave it to her. I put the charms into the food that I had prepared for her, and when she ate, that spirit of witchcraft, even though she was not a witch, the spirit of witchcraft that is only there to possess you so that people can find you not to be a good person, to hate you, so that you can have bad luck wherever you go to. She then left and she went back to her place where she was staying, and then I started to use another charm. This charm, the way that I used to use it, at night I would wake up, maybe around 11, me and my husband, we would wake up and go outside because I was afraid to do it on my own. The charms that I was given, I would burn this charm in the morning, and then I would keep the ashes. And at night, me and my husband, we would go outside. I was supposed to do it completely naked. And when we were outside, I would remove my clothes and then stand wherever I would know that even if the people that will be passing through our street would not see me, because I was supposed to do it in front of our house. And then I would blow the ashes into the wind, mentioning the names of my family members so that they can start to fight against each other and for them to hate my auntie. When the accident happened, this was after the big fight that had happened in the family. I then invited my family members and I invited my auntie, who was supposed to be blamed as a witch, saying that it hurt me to see the family fighting like the way that we were fighting. I wanted my auntie to come so that we can talk. She came, and we had a nice family reunion. We even had a braai. The day that it happened, me and my husband, we were not supposed to be there on the scene. So I left my daughter with my auntie, and my sisters, my brothers' wives were also there. My auntie was the one that I had given a responsibility to play with my daughter, but the spirit of death was following her. Anyway, my daughter then fell down in such a way that people could not even understand how this accident happened. I can't explain much because I am afraid that people might recognize me. So after my daughter fell and my daughter passed away, on the ambulance going to the hospital, we delayed. After we had heard that this was what had happened, I was speaking with my auntie and I made my auntie to go onto the ambulance. So the family said she is the witch who went with her victim to the hospital because she wanted to make sure that this child was not going to survive. My auntie, she was really hurt when this came out, but we had already been given the phone numbers of a prophet from Zim who came to the house on the day of the funeral, and then he said some words. I can't go into the details as well, but my auntie exposed herself as a witch, even though she was not a witch. She knows nothing about witchcraft. Her only crime was that she was the one whom I saw as a right candidate who can be blamed forever for the death of my daughter, which has brought me to where we are, me and my husband right now. For we did not even know that when you do these rituals, it is not the end of the story. We thought that we were going to live for the 40-something years that my daughter was supposed to live, but we are supposed to perform another ritual. We have money, but we are supposed to perform another ritual, and I am afraid that when we perform this ritual against my sister's daughter, she is supposed to die as well because of an accident. She's supposed to go on a school trip. When she is on a school trip, when we have decided to do that, during that school trip, she is supposed to have an accident, or they are going to have an accident, and she is the one that is only going to die. I am afraid that maybe people in the family, they'll start to notice a pattern, because as for this auntie of mine, she is even trying to make people to believe that she is not a witch. I wanted this to stop, but we do not know how. For the healer in Zim told us that once my ancestors have given you money, know that you will owe them for the rest of your lives, and what they would require you to do if they request something, you are not supposed to refuse. For if you refuse, then it means that you have disobeyed them. We do not know the consequences. Even the healer, when we asked him about disobedience of his shrine, he said, I do not even know. It depends. As you can see outside, there are other people that are sick. Some of the people that are running mad outside, they used to be like you. They came looking for money. I gave them money through my ancestors. But when they went to their homes, when they made money, they chose to disrespect my ancestors. So I do not know if you will get sick, if you will die, or you will suffer for a very long time until you die. And the problem is that, Brother Nashi, on the top of the years that I am supposed to live, there is another 10 years something that I have added to myself. So if it happens that I get sick, it means that I will be sick, suffering for those number of years, for these were the years that we stole from my daughter. I just need advice. Do I sit down with the rest of the family and inform them of the evil thing that we did, me and my husband, or we just move on with our lives and we just continue enjoying our money, waiting for the end to come? Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear sister, and let us thank our admin who helped us with this translation. If you have ever been to another country where you went to do money rituals, please do come and you share with us your own side of the story. Let us meet again in the following episode.